Welcome to Layn Turo University. I'm gonna share what Turo is not telling you. I love Turo. I'm totally in love with Turo, and I think it's a great platform. But there's a few things that aren't really mentioned because, again, we're caught up in Turo being a great company. You can make a lot of money. You can rent your car out and take care of your payments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And all that's true. But there's a few things I just want to in business. I'm also a business mitigation specialist. I'm a business consultant by trade. I've also been insurance licensed for over 8 years. I'm real estate licensed as well. I've said this a lot of times, but I'm gonna keep saying it because I know there's new viewers. And I just want to let you guys know I've recorded many videos about this, but I want to go a little bit deeper. But I'm gonna keep it concise. So this is the thing though, Turo is a great opportunity, but you have to think about the mitigation of risk and the liabilities. With business, there's always liabilities, and liabilities, there's business. Just how it is, just they're one of the same. So it's not about eliminating liabilities, even though I wish I could eliminate all liabilities, but you can't control people. You can't control the way other people move, think, their perspectives, and how they execute. You can't control that. All you can do is do your part to reduce the likelihood of that risk happening and mitigating it or lessening the effect of the negative effect of it. So first and foremost, people make a lot of mistakes. First and foremost, when they buy a car, when they purchase or acquire a vehicle, I've recorded so many videos about this. Just follow my channel, and there's a lot of videos about this negotiation and buying in the beginning. And like I said, I'm also real estate licensed, so there's a term we use called buying in the wedge. When you buy a home in the wedge, you basically buy below market value. So MSRP, or the sales price or sticker price of a car, is basically what the market value of the car is. It's what, if Turo Insurance, if you had a claim, Turo Insurance would pay you the market value of that vehicle if it was total loss, for example. My goal is always to get about 20% below. A lot of other Turo hosts online might say anywhere from 15% or 18% or 13%. I've heard even 7%. I think you're always good in between from 13% to about 20%. I try to get 20%, and I usually go over 20%. I've gotten better at negotiation. The more you do it, the better you get at it, and you get better strategies to implement. But the point is, 20% is a good hedge where it puts you in control, so that if one day you have to think about, yes, we're all thinking about entering the Turo market, but what about when you need to exit? What about when years pass by? What about when your car's breaking down? What if you have inevitable like repairs? What if you're in a lease and it's about to end? Maybe you financed to own it, maybe bought it outright for cash. There's three typical ways that people usually enter the market on Turo typically, and there's other ways, but the three most valuable ways that most people do it is either they buy the car outright for cash. I've done that. I've also, a lot of people have financed the vehicles as well, or they'll finance to own. Usually the loan ranges are usually anywhere from 5 to 6 years, sometimes 7, but usually more common is 5 to 6 years on average. But again, there are 7 years. And the point is that you could do that, and another way is lease. A lot of people do lease the vehicle. The cool thing, each one has its own advantages and disadvantages. If you lease a car, the cool thing, it has usually an easier exit strategy, because usually it's for 2 years, maybe 3 years, and you can always negotiate this longer or shorter. Sometimes there's short-term leases where it's just for a year. Sometimes it's for 2 years, but on average, usually about 2 to 3 years for a lease. But sometimes it can be longer than that. It usually has, it's usually the easiest way to exit, in my personal opinion, because it's already done for you. It's in contract, and at the end of the lease, you have to figure out, okay, do you want to, maybe sometimes after you end the lease, do you want to buy the car outright? Sometimes you have the option to buy it. Second, you could roll into another lease depending on if you got that already set up, and that's what you want to consider. And you want to do all this in the beginning. So if you're going to buy a car outright, if you're going to finance to own a car, if you're going to lease a car, you want to figure out what's your exit strategy. Most Turo hosts I've talked to, I have a Facebook group as well, and also Turo hosts I've met in person and just in general, make this mistake of not knowing how they're going to exit. And that's the biggest mistake. Not the two first important steps is, first, buying a car in the wedge, buying below market value, getting the best deal you possibly can. If you can't, that means it happens. You just didn't get that, cool, you're not out the game yet. Just do your best to implement good strategy so you can make a profit quick, because if you get a bad make a lot more money to correct that deal. But if you get a good deal in the beginning, you could just, it's already correct. But the point is, if you start with a bad deal, fine, just keep it going and try to do your best to bring up your ROI so you can actually increase your likelihood of success. But the point is, do your absolute best to get the best deal possible. I'll say 20% below MSRP or the sticker price, or at least 13%. But if you can't get that deal, if you still have to do what you got to do, I understand sometimes you just have to start with a bad deal, but do better at charging good rents, daily rents, so you can actually accrue, and then you can maybe refinance yourself. And a lot of people don't know about it. You can refinance out yourself out a bad deal. If you got to finance to own, you can refinance yourself and get a better deal where you get a better interest rate, better APR. So always understand what your exit strategy is going to be. If you're going to get a bad deal now, maybe you know, okay, in 4 or 5 months, as my credit increases, as I earn more income, like I'll just refinance this and get a better deal with my personal bank or credit union, etc. So that's another exit strategy. And then if you finance to own it, say you want a goal of, okay, my finance to own is 5 years or 6 years. Okay, so after 5, 6 years, my loan will be paid off and I'll have to earn this. Your goal, in my opinion, should be do your best to try and make at least one extra payment every 3 months. If you could do 2 payments per month, you'll significantly bring down your APR, you bring down your interest rate that you're paying that's compounded every day, and you'll actually be able to get purchase your car outright faster. Meaning you own the asset faster, you pay less interest over the long term. You'd be surprised that interest per day adds up significantly. You'd be surprised. That's another exit strategy. How are you going to pay off your loan? People don't even consider that. They just want to get a car and add it on. Consider, okay, if I make an extra payment per month or extra payment every 2 months or 3 months, how much interest will I save in the long term? Okay, now if I pay one payment every 2 or 3 months, it looks like I'll be paid off in 4 years, not 5 years. I just saved myself a year of interest and a year of payments. Okay, if I pay if I pay an extra payment every month, that means I'll be done maybe in 2 years. You'd be surprised. So consider that the way you come in, also consider the way you're going to go out. Are you going to own the car outright? Do you want to sell it after you own it? Do you want to keep it going as long as possible? Plus, as the car gets older, it's inevitable you need more repairs. The car starts depreciating further because we all know it's a depreciating asset. You might want to consider, I'm also a hire car owner. I'm a Turo power host, but I'm also on the hire car. You might want to consider, do I want to add my car to a hire car? Because maybe if after say 5, 6 years, your car's still doing well, and hey, it just is doing well, no reason to take it off Turo, right? If it just makes sense mathematically and financially speaking, keep it on there. But hey, oftentimes cars, they get overridden by, they get outcompeted by other cars that are newer, maybe the same make and model, but newer cars, and your car's 6 or 7 years old. At that point, you might want to consider, okay, if I just keep the car on here, I'm not getting any more bookings like I first was getting, but I can add it to hire car. Hire cars usually built more for older cars. So this is where you can exit out. And I have a video that's called Hire Car Perfect Exit Strategy for Turo. And I have a lot of videos that go over this, or you can even consider other platforms like, hey, you know what? I could put on Avail, I could put on Get Around, which Get Around is fairly similar to HireCar, but a little different. Get Around, you actually get Get Around connectivity device where you could track your vehicles, lock and unlock the car, which is pretty cool. So you might want to consider that. And those are long-term rentals. Turo is more about the experience. It's usually shorter-term rentals, but you usually make a lot more, typically speaking. But so HireCar and Get Around are usually for older vehicles that are long-term. So these are usually for people that want to rent a car for, say, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Uber, Lyft drivers, Amazon Flex, Grubhub, etc., food delivery, stuff like that. So they allow you to actually rent your car to these people, and they usually keep it for long term because they're trying to earn money with it. It's not about the experience, but it's cool if you give them a good experience, but it's not about that. So that's another extra you might want to consider. I have many videos about that go in deep dive strategies session about that. So that's what you want to consider if you're financing to own. If you're leasing a car, it's a little different. Like I said, as I said before, the exit strategy is already there because after 2 or 3 years, you're just exiting out. Figure out, are you going to roll into another lease? Are you going to buy the car outright? Maybe it's doing so well. You're like, no, I want to own this car, and they might give you a lease option to purchase it to own, or you just roll into another one. Plus, you want to consider long-term leases because unfortunately, a lot of times leases are only 12,000 miles, maybe to 15,000 miles, which is a little too low in my opinion for a Turo platform. You might want to try to negotiate 18,000 to maybe 24,000, and you can always negotiate. You just have to try to find the right deal. And again, if you go over those miles, you want to offset it and put it onto your Turo guest who goes over. Make sure you have the mileage there. Or say they go over the miles, you get paid for that, so that if you get penalized by going over your lease miles, at least you're getting paid out for that. You might want to consider like paintless dent removal, like different ways to actually mitigate and keep your car looking nice. Where once you get a lease, usually it's in warranty, so usually pay less in fixing the car, but also there's extra options like gap insurance, so that if the car's total loss, you don't pay the negative equity. Also paintless dent removal, PDR, which you can actually go and usually add on for a very cost-effective amount, where they'll basically get rid of the dents in your car, so that way it avoids you from having to file a claim. Plus, it's usually pretty cost-effective. You can also get like tire service, usually free. Tire rotations usually free, typically because it's a lease. Usually leases offer that, and if it doesn't have that service, you usually try to add it on. There's a lot of different options you want to consider. And the cool thing about leases is that since you don't own the car, the advantage here is that all you have to do really worry about is just your monthly payment, and everything over that is pure profit for the most part. So that's another extra strategy. Are you gonna exit onto another lease? Are you gonna buy it to own? Are you gonna like what are you gonna do with it? Are you gonna have a long-term lease? Make sure you get that negotiated in too. It's cool adding a car on, but you have to think about what's going to happen afterwards. And last but not least, the most it's not the most common. Most people don't have money lying around to just buy a car. It could be pretty expensive. But if you are one of those people who just buy cars cash, then at that point, then you want to consider, okay, is your car in warranty? If it's not in warranty, if it's used, okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to purchase a warranty? I usually don't recommend purchasing a warranty because purchasing a warranty, oftentimes you don't even use it. A lot of times they have a lot of different rules and stipulations that don't even allow you to use it. So oftentimes it just makes more sense to save the money you'll spend on a warranty, put that in a savings account, and when something happens, just pay for it yourself, or get it, or negotiate with a body shop that you're going to do business with. You're in a rental car industry where you're going to probably have accidents. Become faithful and loyal to one body shop, so that way they have favor for you, and they say, you know, we'll charge you half the price, and you start getting deals that way. But that's another exit strategy. Becoming friends with body shops is a bit unorthodox, a bit different, but becoming friends with body shops so that you can save money in the long run. If you have a car that is an older car, a used car, or you bought it for cash, or even if it's finance owned, that's the point. People make a lot of mistakes not knowing how to buy a car, not getting, like at my rule is 20%, but if it is lower than that, at least 13%, not buying the Wedge. And if they do get a bad deal, they don't know how to get themselves out of the bad deal and refinance out. This is what Turo is not telling you. Turo is a great opportunity, but always do your due diligence. Understand the insurance plan you're selecting. Make sure you check people, driver license. I have a lot of videos on that. Driver license back and forth. Make sure you take a lot of pictures before. I have a video specifically catered to that, before the trip and after the trip, to make sure you get paid out for your tour insurance. What you don't want to happen is if you don't take the right amount of pictures, you file a claim and it gets denied because you didn't take pictures, or you didn't fact check the person, you didn't get a picture of their driver license, you didn't verify them. Always do your due diligence and follow these rules and many more. But that's just want to bring that up to you. Those are things most tour hosts, in my opinion, have forgotten. And I run a Layn Turo University Facebook group, and I also am very responsive to a lot of comments, and a lot of people ask me questions on how to protect themselves. So I just want to leave this to you. This is what Turo is not telling you, but it is a great opportunity. I love Turo, but always pay attention. Get the best deal you can. Understand your exit strategy, not just the entrance strategy. Like, subscribe, share. Follow me on Instagram at Conrad Layn. Leave any comments below. I'll answer them. Like, subscribe, share. Love you guys. Conrad Layn out. Peace.